Here are some fun and quirky facts about King Tut that make him even more fascinating. 1. He was a trendsetter 3,000 years later. When King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922, it sparked a global Tut-mania craze. Egyptian-inspired fashion, jewelry, and even furniture became wildly popular in the 1920s. 2. He had the first ever discovered space weapon. His famous dagger was made from a meteorite, meaning he was buried with a literal space blade thousands of years before scientists understood meteoric iron. 3. He was the youngest pharaoh ever. Tutankhamun became pharaoh at just 9 years old, making him one of the youngest rulers in history. Imagine being a kid and suddenly running an empire. 4. He was buried with sandals that had enemies on them. His sandals were decorated with images of his enemies, Nubians and Asiatics, so every time he walked, he was literally stepping on his foes. Talk about passive-aggressive fashion. 5. He had over 5,000 items in his tomb. King Tut's tomb was packed with treasures, including golden beds, chariots, board games, food, and even underwear. Talk about packing for the afterlife. 6. He had a tiny coffin for a pet. Among the items in his tomb, archaeologists found small coffins that contained mummified remains of animals, including 2 fetuses believed to be his stillborn daughters. 7. He liked to bling out his chariots. Tutankhamun had 6 chariots buried with him, some of which were covered in gold. He may have been weak, but his ride was definitely flashy. 8. He had buck teeth and a feminine figure. Reconstruction of his skull and DNA testing suggests Tut had a slight overbite, a classic trait of his royal bloodline, and an unusually feminine physique due to inbreeding. 9. His death mask has a hidden mistake. His famous golden mask was likely meant for someone else, and when they re-engraved it with his name, they accidentally left traces of the original name behind. Probably Queen Nefertiti. 10. His tomb was so small it was almost missed. Unlike the grand tombs of other pharaohs, Tut's burial site was hidden beneath another tomb. That's probably why it wasn't looted in ancient times, making it one of the greatest discoveries in archaeology. Despite his short reign, King Tut became the most famous pharaoh of all time. Not bad for a 19-year-old.